say thank you.
We're dying, we're dying, we're dying, we're dying. We're dying, we're dying, we're dying. Hello and welcome back to Good Morning, We Are Dying. As always, I am here with my friend Sam Rager. I am Alex Bozanovic. And we are going to, I guess, talk about why we're dying today.
Yeah. We have so many reasons.
Yes. I have not been sleeping well.
What's been going on?
One very big new thing has been introduced into my life that is really complicating things for me, and that is the video game city Skylines. I am absolutely obsessed with building my mega metropolis, which has been keeping me awake very late into the night, which has only been giving me a few hours of sleep. I have missed my alarm clock twice this week. One time of which I ended up like about an hour late for work. I mean, to be fair, we have like what's it called? Like a flex schedule. So you don't have to be there by a certain time. I got there before the flex schedule cuts off. I just got there an hour later than I normally would get there.
Was it worth it though?
Yeah, totally. I have several high schools set up in my city now. I have a university.
Education.
Yeah. All of the commercial businesses were complaining that there weren't enough educated workers in the city, so I had to like build some libraries and some schools and whatever. And that seems to have like leveled out. But now my landfills are getting full, and so everyone's complaining that the garbage is piling up. So now I got to figure that out because I don't really have a good place to put new landfills because I haven't really built up any new industry. But like you have to kind of put retail in between your industry and your residential, and I don't really have like there's no demand for retail right now, so I have to kind of just like build all the industry kind of far out and with like a lot of land in between. So that I can add more landfills.
Do you get to see the people, or do you just get these messages from?
You get like tweets. They're like tweets that pop up at the top of the screen. But the tweets actually are kind of bullshit. They're like, no, they are. They're like the game has designed them to be like annoying, like the annoying person in like the Facebook community group, where like they have complaints about things that aren't real. That's like kind of like what the tweets represent. You kind of have to like look at your actual data to figure out what people are really feeling, because like there's like different charts that you can pull up, and it'll say like, you know, it'll tell you like where you are with like utilities and people's overall happiness and things like that. And my people generally are happy. It's just that like when you grow quickly, services that were okay quickly become overloaded, and then you end up with garbage everywhere.
So if this was a job in your life, this would be city planning, right?
Oh my God, you have no idea. When I was in high school, that was like one of the things. Like there were several things that I was like, oh, I would love to do that for a living, and that was one of the things. It's like I applied for an internship at the city of Auburn Hills in the city planner's office.
Oh.
I didn't get it, but like, yeah, that was a thing that I applied for when I got out of college.
So when they made this a game.
Yes, this is a game now. It's been a game. Like, do you remember Sim City?
Yeah.
So it's basically Sim City, but like they've taken the things that they viewed as weaknesses in SimCity and like fixed them in this game, kind of, which essentially is just the graphics. Like it just looks kind of cooler. But since then, SimCity has resurrected and kind of leapfrogged it in that sense as well. But when this game came out, graphically it was better than SimCity.
Do you want to get SimCity?
No, I'm like, I honestly, in these types of games, I don't really care about the graphics because it's more about like keeping the city going, you know? because I don't do the infinite money hack. Like you can do.
You don't do Rosebud or
No. No, I'm not. I'm not like. I'm not in it for vanity. Okay, I'm in it to like do a good job. I'm trying to make my citizens happy. I'm trying to make virtual Detroit a place that people are proud to live in.
What would it take in this game to help you sleep at night?
Not having a day job. Yeah, I would say having a day job is the biggest thing that gets in the way. A day job that pays me actual real money. That if that went, like, I would be a lot like happier right now.
Do you see anything commuting where you're like, I would never put this in my city?
Well, it does. Honestly, it does make you kind of understand things better. Because, like, you kind of, in the video game, you kind of think that they give you certain things and you think that, like, the game just kind of, like, figures it out for you, but it doesn't. So, like, I unlocked bus stops. And I'm like, oh, I can just like put them places and like the game will just automatically like figure out how to use it. But no, like I just have all these bus stops that are not being used now. Like I have to set up actual bus lines that stop at these bus stops. which means now I have to like destroy all the bus lines that I created. Oh. Because like I did the bus lines before I did the bus stops. So now I have to kind of like destroy the bus stops that I laid out and the actual lines that I created so I can like recreate the whole thing where like the stops actually stop at the bus stops.
Do you think that'll help retail and landfill?
Yeah, I think so. The worst one, like the landfills, that's actually not that big of an issue. Like, I mean, it is because essentially when a service is needed or starts breaking down, all these like little pop-ups start coming up all over the city, like above all the houses and all the businesses, like to let you know that that is a house that has a problem. And if it's a widespread problem, they're just like covering the map and it's like, oh my god, I gotta get rid of these pop-ups. So you do like, it does kind of like bother you in that way. But it's really not that big of an issue. Like the trash is not really that big of an issue. People just complain about it and you just have all these pop-ups. The one that is an issue is like if there's not enough hospitals, because then like everybody just starts dying because it goes from not enough hospitals to not enough cemeteries.
Could you use the landfill for that? Like 2 birds.
They should give you the option, really. Like, they should give you the option, but they don't. You have to actually build cemeteries or incinerators, or not incinerators, but crematoriums.
Can you put industry in, but like it's terrible. Like, can you make the DuPont of this place where like, sure, it brings jobs and stuff, but it's killing a lot of people.
That just kind of happens if you don't plan the layout of the city right. Because like for my first couple go-arounds, I didn't quite understand everything. So I would put my residential areas too close to the industry, and then people would just be like getting sick immediately. Like it didn't matter how many hospitals I had, people would just be like constantly sick. Like I had to restart my city like at least 7 times before I figured it out. And like the most efficient way to do it is probably not the most like visually pleasing way to do it, because like I was playing it when John and Ian and Nick came to record the other podcast, and John made a comment about how all my industry was right off of the highway. And he's like, oh, that's a great introduction to people coming to your city. And I'm like, yeah, but like now my industry has like direct access to resources. Yeah. So it's like it's the more efficient way to do it, really, is to have everything like right off of the highway. Mm-hmm. But nobody wants that because like you don't want to be driving through like River Rouge, which is like, for people not from Detroit, that's where they shot RoboCop. Like literally, that's where they shot RoboCop. You don't want to be like driving through that as your introduction to a city, but like really, that's kind of like the most efficient way to do it. Because then truck drivers don't have to like drive through these like service roads to get to where they need to get to. They just get right off the highway, drop off the goods, and then keep on going. So like my city looks like shit because like it's all just factories right off the highway, but it runs so efficiently. Like because all my residential areas are so far away from that, nobody's getting sick anymore. But like you got to drive through all this like horrible smog to get to like a nice little downtown area.
There's so many cities across America that are like, man, I wish we could restart this game.
Let's name a few. I'll start. Gary, Indiana. Toledo, Ohio.
a lot in West Virginia.
We could just say all of West Virginia, maybe. Maybe like 2 places in West Virginia but like most of the other parts, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You have a beautiful state, West Virginia, but a lot of bad corporations. Yeah, it's wild. Can you intentionally, like, that's your point when you play it, is just to be like a slumlord?
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%. There's a video on YouTube of with Sim City, not this game, of a guy that was purposely trying to make the most efficient but also at the same time dystopian city that he could possibly make. And he actually was applying math equations to figure out how to do it the best as far as like proportioning industry to retail to housing. What would be like the most, like how would the city make the most money while not losing people but making them the most unhappy that they can be? which factored in like transportation, like public transportation, like what is the right amount of transportation to provide citizens that they can get to work but not do anything fun. Like what is the right amount of like housing per like city block where people will stay there but be very unhappy about their situation. And he applied all of this to this city, and like happiness was so low, but the city was making so much money. Like roads were terrible. Like roads gave you access to like nothing but getting to work. And I forget the name. It's like this really crazy, like it's like this really crazy name, but it's like it is actually a pretty like famous kind of like internet video. Like if you're on the internet, like anybody watching this that is on the internet is probably yelling at me about how dumb my brain is and can't remember the name of this video, because it is like a pretty like it is a pretty famous video for people in that sector, you know.
I was gonna be like, I don't know the name of it either.
Yeah, it's like with all that like internet stuff, I'm like on the fringe of it. I'm not like totally immersed in it like a lot of people are, but like I'm aware of a lot of that internet culture. I just don't like, my recall is so bad with names of stuff like that I just cannot pull it, you know.
Do people play this game on Twitch?
Well, it's SimCity.
Oh, SimCity.
Yeah, somebody did it in SimCity. They created this just like dystopian, huge, mega metropolis that is just like incredibly efficient and makes a lot of money.
I wonder if any city planners are like taking tips on it. Like, this is brilliant.
Well, I think the guy that did it is actually a city planner. Like, I think he was actually a city planner, and as like an exercise, he was like doing that. He was like applying all these principles that you apply in actual city planning to see like how evil he could be just short of like killing people or making them leave the city. Like keeping them good workers and committed to the city, while also just being incredibly unhappy about living in that city.
I like that he takes it right up to the line, but like doesn't cross it.
Yeah, and he's using literal math equations to figure this out. And the music playing in that video is so funny. It's like very dramatic, like classical, kind of like almost operatic kind of music. Like very like Final Fantasy kind of music, you know?
How many videos are there with it?
It's just the one. I mean, I'm sure other people have like tried to do similar videos, but there's one video that is like the OG. And that one is like pretty, it's like, it's not like well known as far as like you could go up to anybody and be like, hey, did you see that video? But like people who are aware of that type of video, if you mention it to them, they're like, oh yeah, the one video that I cannot remember the name of. But yeah.
I am enamored with like learning about these subcultures. We were talking before the show about Kick, and I didn't even know that there was a separate streaming platform besides Twitch.
Yeah.
So there's Kick.
Yeah, Kick would be like if the dark web had a streaming service.
Did a lot of people leave to use it, or is it just
some people left? So a lot of the biggest part of the user base, like the biggest users on Kick, as far as like viewership, the biggest users, not as far as like hours on stream, but people who have the most subscribers, either all of them came over from Twitch, but they came over for one of two reasons. They either came over from Twitch because they got banned from Twitch, or they came over because Kick themselves offered them like ridiculous money to go over and exclusively stream on their platform. And so those are like the biggest users as far as like subscribers go. As far as like hours spent on the platform, I don't know. I'm sure there's like some people who get like maybe like, you know, a couple hundred viewers a stream that are probably just on there all day long, you know. But the big thing about Kick is they were positioning themselves as the free speech platform, where like they weren't gonna like get in your way and let you like do, because like all these guys are guys that are like, oh, Twitch is silencing me. They're not letting me tell my story, you know. And it's all like those like right wing, like crazy, like manosphere people that are like saying that, you know. And so like there have been a few people who have been banned from Kick, which is insane, because you look at some of the people who have not been banned from Kick and you're like, what the fuck did they do to get banned from this platform? Because there are people who are streaming right now as we record this that are just like, how are you still on here?
Oh my gosh, what's the worst that you've heard of so far?
So there was one guy, again, I can't remember these guys' names because I'm kind of, even if I did remember their names, I wouldn't want to say it just because it's like, I don't want to like, I'm not giving them, you know, free advertising. Now you want to throw us a couple $, I'll say your name, you know. But no, there was one guy, he was on, he would stream on Kick himself on Omegle. And Omegle is kind of like a chat roulette type of platform where like you're live and you can like hit next and it'll just randomly give you another person. And so he would be on Omegle, which is known to be primarily used by like kids, you know, like minors. And he was an adult, and he would be on Omegle and he would start talking to a girl who was very young. And he would ask their age, and they would be like 15. Like, you said 18? And they'd be like 15. Like, no, you said 18. And they're like, oh yeah, I said 18. And then he would like get them to like show him their tits and all kinds of stuff. And he would do that. He would do that in like a private chat, and he wouldn't tell them that he was screen recording. And then he would screen grab the images and the video and put it in his Discord, which he was charging people to be a part of. So he was essentially distributing child pornography. And he got called out on that. Like, somebody did a video, like, doing like a deep dive. Like, they joined the Discord and saw all of that and just started like kind of like exposing it all. And he shut his channel down. And then, like, I don't know, a few weeks later, opened it up again and just started doing it all over.
What?
Yeah.
How has this not been shut down?
Because it's Kick. They don't shut anything down. Except for like a handful of people, which, again, it's like, what did they do to get kicked off of this platform?
Yeah, like normally FBI has to raid homes and get hard drives and all that.
Yeah.
And this person is just doing it
Yeah.
openly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And he's not the only one doing stuff like that. There's other people doing stuff like that. And then like, aside from that, there's like gambling channels where like people are just on, like, a big scam on a lot of these like channels is like an online casino will sponsor a big streamer who has like, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 viewers per stream or more in some cases. And like an online casino will be like, hey, we want to sponsor you here. We're going to give you X amount of dollars per month for you to gamble on stream. And it is believed, okay, allegedly, that these streams are fixed for them to win. So they go online and they'll bet like $100,000 and they'll win like $700,000. And you've got all these like kids watching this, and these like casinos don't, I mean, you can get your mom's credit card and get on. And so these kids go on and they start gambling, and then they just like lose like all of their parents' money.
Oh my God.
Because the guys streaming allegedly are gambling in a fixed session, which is fixed for them to win. Allegedly.
Yeah, BetMGM if you want to sponsor us.
Well, it's not like the big casinos. It's these like small little like, a guy who did get famous on Twitch just because he was like streaming and people, connected with them in some way, and they built this like following, for like video game purposes. Like they were like gaming on Twitch and they gained this following. They weren't on there for any like, ulterior motives or anything like that. They were just like on there to like play video games, and they just happened to build this audience. So then like, because they happened to build this audience, this like small little, crypto casino online was like, oh, well, that would be a good way for us to get people coming to our site. And so then they like do this sponsorship, and, it's not hard to get people hooked with gambling. If you give them the idea that they could realistically get rich, like if you can just plant that seed where it's like, wow, like he just won $700,000. Like I could win $700,000. If you just make that something that like someone can sort of believe, they're all in. And if their favorite streamer is on stream talking about, hey, like this is a good thing, you guys should all get in on this, they're gonna get in on it.
Could you ethically do that? Like if somebody
I couldn't do that. And I'll joke around about doing it. But like there's no serious like real way that I could do that. Like maybe if I was in my 20s before like I knew anything, like when I was just a fucking idiot, like I could maybe do that. Because like I would genuinely think there's nothing wrong with it.
Mm-hmm.
But like the second I realize, oh, this is fucking bad, like there's no way I could do it anymore. I can't suspend that belief anymore. Once I genuinely realize that something is bad, I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. But like in that moment that I don't understand that, where I'm like, oh, it's just a thing. Like, sure,
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night.
No, yeah, there's no way I could do it. Which is very funny when like people speak out against those types of things. Like they just get like, you know, overwhelmed with people in their like chats calling them grifters, and you know, someone's paying them to like shit on this crypto casino. And it's like, no, there's way more money in being on the side of the crypto casino than there is to be against the crypto casino. Like, do you like, and like I get frustrated sometimes watching that, and then I have to like remember 90% of the people on Twitch are 12-year-olds. So like, no, they're not going to understand that. Like, they're not going to understand that the amount of force opposing something like a crypto casino is minuscule to the force of the crypto casino. Like, these kids don't understand how those things work yet. And so, yes, it's very easy to get them into your chat talking about, well, you're just like getting paid by the people that don't like the casino. It's like, no, there's no one that doesn't like the casino. And the people who don't like the casino don't have the money of the casino.
Yeah. I've tried so hard to understand crypto, but I can't. It doesn't sink in.
It's so funny. I, for some reason, understand crypto way better than stocks. And I think it's because stocks, while I believe stocks are also bullshit, there is a little bit more legitimacy to actually trading stocks and bonds. Because they're so mainstream and so widely used, there has to be some level of legitimacy to stocks, because there is some level of regulation to stocks, and that throws me off because I don't understand that regulation very well, and I don't understand the sort of like minimal science that has cropped up because of the regulation. Where because there is no regulation in crypto, and because I feel like I read people pretty well, I understand that more, because I can look at a cryptocurrency and be like, oh, this is a scam. I should put money in it right now. because the scam hasn't, like, the wave hasn't curled yet. The wave is still kind of like coming, and this is the time to put the money into the crypto.
Have you invested?
I did in lockdown. I don't really do it anymore, but I did in lockdown, and I made like a little bit of money. Nothing like significant, like just kind of stuff. Like, I never even made enough money to pay off my cards. I just made enough money to like give myself breathing room on my cards. You know? Yeah, I mean, that's like the most I've done off of crypto. Like, I wasn't like someone that like got rich on Dogecoin, you know. Like, I got in too late for that. But that was around the time that I started paying attention to it, and there was still a little bit of money that you could make off of crypto immediately following that whole craze, because there were enough people in the mainstream that were now starting to pay attention, and enough like other smaller coins popping up after Dogecoin, that people would be like, oh, this is going to be the next Dogecoin. But because there were like more than one coin, none of them ever like truly took off. But a few of them had like small little spikes, and I did kind of take advantage of that, like unknowingly, because at the time I really didn't know what I was doing. But my approach really was like, okay, where's the scam? Like, where's the scam that hasn't curled yet? You know? And if you approach crypto that way, you'll make money.
I'm gonna use that as my financial you're my financial advisor now.
If there's more than 5 YouTube videos talking about how much of a scam a certain cryptocurrency is, you're too late. If CoffeeZilla has already talked about a cryptocurrency, you missed the scam. If it hasn't hit CoffeeZilla's radar yet, you can probably still make a little bit of money on it.
Oh, I'm going to be going back and forth and being like, okay, this is the trench coat wearer of the current cryptos, but they are not mentioned yet. I'm going for it.
Yeah. But yeah, there's like a pretty big scandal in that world right now, because there's a guy. Oh shit, I can't remember his name. Oh god damn, I was gonna look it up before we started recording and I forgot. He's a streamer. He's like a pretty innocuous streamer. He's not like one of these like, you know, complete scumbags. He's just like a guy that just like plays video games. That's basically what he does. He's built a community around like Madden and like Call of Duty and like that kind of stuff. And I'm sure if he's not a political person, you know, he truly is just there for the games. I'm sure if you got him talking politically, he would probably have some like not great views. but that's not why he's on there. And you know, he seems like a pretty like fine, like he's fine. You know, I'm sure the views are like pretty average and in line with what most people think anyway. You know what I mean? But there was a scandal that just came out about him. I wish I could remember his goddamn name, but apparently he had an OnlyFans page, but it was like a gay porn OnlyFans page.
Yes.
And so like Kick understandably is not like big on the gay stuff. I don't want to make it sound like they're like, there's a lot of talk about trans people and not in a positive way, but I feel like it's one of those things where like they are generally homophobic, but they don't understand. Like they'll verbalize like, I don't have a problem with gay people, but then like they'll turn around and like go on rants about trans people. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of environment. But then like if you talk about like any sort of like specific gay issue, they'll be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like it'll be like one of those kind of situations where like, I don't have a problem with gay people. What you do in your bedroom is your business. But then like if you talk about like things that affect the gay community, they're essentially, why is everybody trying to make everything gay? Like, you know, it's like that kind of environment. And so it came out that this kid had, or guy, I mean he was an adult, that he had an OnlyFans page where he was doing like gay porn, and so he kind of went dark for a few days, and then he came back into the stream and was basically just like, yeah, I did that, and like the entire platform just did videos about like basically supporting him, you know. Like getting like being behind him and being like, listen, he was my friend before this. He's my friend before. I don't care. Like it doesn't change anything about how I feel about him. But the tone of which all of these videos were being done sounded like someone who was like framed for terrorism and like no one believed that he was framed, and so all of these people were coming for like, he would never do something like that. I've known him for a very long time. They would never fly planes into a like, you know, like the tone was very much like that, and it was just very funny in that context to watch the whole thing. Because it's like he just sucked a dick. Like what is happening right now?
That is wild that they were so close to just being able to be supportive.
Exactly. And they were. I mean, they were being supportive.
In like trying to push someone back in a closet kind of way.
It wasn't even that. They weren't like trying to push him back in the closet. It was just like a lot of these like, again, like kids in these chats were just being like very homophobic. People on Twitter were being very homophobic. I'm never going to call it X. It will always be Twitter. People were just like being very homophobic to him, like people that weren't like big streamers or.
Does it feel like it's on the rise again? I hear people like using the term gay in a derogatory form more and more, and that makes me a little sad.
I just think that I just think that there's just more people who are visible with it. I don't think there's more people doing it. I think there's just more people that are visible with it. I think like for a long time, I think it's probably about the same number of people that are still like genuinely homophobic that there were always. I just think that for a long time there were less people that were supportive. I think there were just like a large group of people that were just kind of like indifferent. And they were indifferent because they just didn't know anything about it, but they didn't want to like, you know, like be oppressive towards people. So they just kind of like stayed out of it. Where I think that group has shrunk and I think has mostly swung to the side of being supportive. That side typically is not extremely vocal though, especially online, because that side typically I think occupies the traditional media space. So like, you know, MSNBC, CNN, NBC, like, you know, the major networks, like you see that all of those places have become, at least cosmetically, a lot more, you know, accepting and open to like diversity. But the people who are like anti any of these things just have like larger platforms now. So I don't know that like the number of people has gone bigger. I think the people who just have those views have become bolder, and I think they just have louder voices. But I think it's still just like the same amount of people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, every time I watch Blaze, they are just dropping those bombs all the time.
And Sam is a regular Blaze watcher. It's her Fox News, but like more truthful.
My sleeping has been a little off as well. I had the ear appointment.
Mm-hmm. How did that go?
I have a surgery date.
Oh, nice.
Yay! It's July 31st. I am excited for it, but I also have to like have these eardrops in my ear until then, and so I have to fall asleep with cotton in both ears.
That would be so annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know if I could deal with that.
Yeah, he's like, he doesn't believe me that I don't use Q-tips, which ticked me off. He's like, I only see ears like these and 80-year-olds who wear hearing aids. And I was like, okay, doctor. I don't. And Santiago and I butted heads a bit because so the doctor's like, do you have your camera phone? Because we're going to take pictures of inside your ear. And I was like, ha. But he was being honest. So he took me into this room and he put this like little medical camera down my ear, and we had my eardrums on the TV, and he had me take pictures of them. And then I sent them to Santiago because I was like, look at how bad my eardrum looks. And Santiago's like, that you should have just given me a heads up not to open the message.
Trigger warning.
But if you had
he's like, you should have told me I was gonna you should have told me that the picture I was looking at was not a cobalt mine.
Like I'm not a fake spooky girl. Like you're gonna get if a camera can take a medical grade camera can take a picture and I can get that, you're gonna get it. I was tempted to send it to you as well, and Santiago was like, no, you just don't send that to friends or family. Like you don't.
I wish Santiago would have talked to Mike. Because I got pictures of Mike's colonoscopy. That's our friend Mike Bobbitt.
I love it. I feel like that should be, you should be able to send those pictures to people you love without giving a trigger warning. What are your thoughts?
I mean, if you're close enough to someone, I don't think it should be a problem, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I'm not like, I don't know.
Are we that close?
I mean, I probably wouldn't be like triggered by it, to be honest. You know? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to like not sound creepy when you're talking about stuff like this because like that stuff really does. I don't care. Like it doesn't really like bother me. Like I mean, unless it's like just like wild, you know. But like, yeah, I mean, like I don't know, your inner ear.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that weird. The doctor made me take pictures of his ear too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wasn't even really like that like weirded out by Mike sending me a picture of his asshole, you know?
Yeah, you hear that, Santiago? I could have sent Alex a picture of my inner ear. And he would have been fine.
I mean, as long as it's under the auspices of medicine, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're just like randomly sending me a picture of your asshole, then that might be weird. But if you're like, I got this done in a doctor's office, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're doing science now then.
Yes, I fully thank you. I fully agree. I don't think it's that weird. And he's like, well, you used to work with remains and stuff. And I'm like, but there's like a lot of people who would still be interested in this. I mean, there's a reason that Dr. Pimple Popper is a thing. You do.
Which is hilarious because Dr. Pimple Popper legitimately looks like a guy that goes to the bathroom. I mean, it's not him. I know for a fact it's not him, but like there's a guy that goes to the bathhouse that does like legitimately, like he could be his like either older or younger brother. I don't know how old Dr. Pimple Popper is or this guy, but like they could definitely be related in some very close sense, like brothers or maybe like first cousins or something. Like they could be very close in that way.
I like that. That's the only name that we could remember too so far of
of all of the people that we talked about in this episode.
Dr. Pimple Popper.
Yeah. That just shows you how much preparation goes into these episodes.
Santiago also asked me, he's like, well, since there's a video aspect, don't you think you should be like dressing up a bit for these, Sam? Because I'm just normally wearing athleisure.
Yeah.
And
I've gone full athleisure at this point. I don't care anymore.
I said no, and he's like, how about a little makeup? And I'm like, no, we have one thirst trap, and it's Alex. Alex is gonna get the views.
Yeah, we also talked about this before the podcast. I feel like I talk way too much to be a thirst trap. Like thirst traps are to be thirsted after, not listened to. I feel like I talk way too much to be a thirst trap.
No, they're gonna see this and they'll be like, I can have both. I can hear awesome stuff and thirst. Subscribe.
I feel like people who want to drink don't want to be fed. You get drunker the emptier your stomach is. The less substance you have inside of your body, you get more intoxicated. Unless you're talking about weed, and then it's the opposite. But we're talking about thirst, they're not called. I'm gonna be a thirst trap, not a smoke trap. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a difference. I feel like smoke traps are kind of like classier, right? Like if you see someone, you're like, oh, they're smoking. It's usually like they're wearing some sort of like, you know, fancy clothes. They're like really well kept. You know, when you're talking about thirst, you're usually talking about somebody that's like really sloppy. Like they're maybe trying to break up a fight, like late after like a club, you know, like they're or maybe they're like starting the fight themselves. Like I think the image that I get of a thirst trap is like it's 2 a.m. You just left the bar. There's like some sort of like hot dog stand, and you're like the thirst trap themselves are like getting a hot dog, and like someone like maybe sort of inconveniences them in some way, and then they like they like speak up about it, and then the person that they're with fights that person, but then they act like they didn't want that to happen. Like that I feel like is a thirst trap, where like a smoke, like somebody who's like smoking is like, you know, doing cocaine in like a cubicle in a bathroom or something, like just classy stuff, you know.
I haven't heard the phrase "smoking" used in a long time. I've heard "smoke show." Oh, that person's a smoke show. But
yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it's all part of the same thing. Like, I feel like, yeah, you know, smoke shows, I feel like that's like a classy thing. Or like thirst trap, that's like, you know, smoke show would be like, you know, going to like a really fancy like steakhouse, where like a thirst trap is like going to like Burger King, you know, like you like it, it's good, but like you understand what you're getting into. Like, you understand that like what you're doing is not great.
So, FML, smoke show, thirst trap. What's a third one?
Wait, what do you mean FM? Like fuck, marry?
Mm-hmm. Or FMK. FMK. This is not as bad as when I called a sad trombone a rusty trombone.
So what are the three choices? Smoke show, thirst trap, and what's the third one?
Yeah.
Wait, what's the? Because there's got to be three, right?
Yeah. I've only heard those two used on the internet to describe.
Well, let's put this out there. You probably don't marry either smoke show or thirst trap. So fuck or kill. Which one? And for me, if I was gonna do it, I would say, fuck the thirst trap, kill the smoke show, because the smoke show is gonna be very high maintenance. And also, the thirst trap is going to be a lot more fun, probably. Like the thirst trap, I think, is going to be a lot more on board to try weird shit than the smoke show. The smoke show, I feel like, is just going to be like missionary, like just kind of get it over with, you know? Like missionary, get it over with, but then like look at me, you know, pet me, you know? Like I feel like that's going to be the smoke show, where the thirst trap is just going to be like nonstop action, you know.
After Burger King, nonstop.
Yeah, like the Burger King doesn't end after you finish it. Like there's a whole second act to Burger King, especially after a certain time of day.
Speaking of smoke show, I went to smoke show this week.
Yes, smoke show happened this week.
David Brooks headlined.
David Brooks, yes, very funny.
Had an all-star lineup.
Yes.
Brad Wenzel, Grace Gunn, Wes Ward, Brett Mercer.
Mm-hmm. Brought out the big guns for this one.
Yeah, that lineup was wild.
Yeah.
And I went and I had a blast. They have such good drinks there.
Yeah.
Definitely smoke show level drinks. Very high quality drinks.
Yeah, it was fun. Very me, Ray, and Amy. I said that very poorly. Are happy with the direction of the show. We think it's moving in the right direction. It's kind of getting better, we feel, every month, and we feel very fortunate to be able to continue to do it.
Yeah, I took this week, and I don't know if you get the panic as well, but like when I have a week that's like light with bookings, in my head I'm normally like, oh crap, this is it, this is the downward spiral, I'm not gonna get booked for anything anymore. And it's just like, it's one dry week, but I viewed this as like, okay, I'm gonna take this week as like a week comedy free. I'm gonna like relax and chill. I had to get through Tuesday at least without like being around that many people, just so I could see the surgeon. And then once I got the surgery day, I'm like, well, I just don't want to like sit around the house. I want to watch good comedy.
Yeah.
So I was ecstatic that it aligned with the smoke show to be able to go see that. And then I went to see Chad Daniels and Mike Cronin at the Comedy Castle.
Nice.
So I've been doing terrible at staying away from comedy this week. But it's been nice to just be able to be on the relaxing
Yeah.
side of it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I get surprisingly way too comfortable with not having anything going on. And I think like I'm starting to understand like more why that is. And it's because I found this TikTok account that I've been watching lately. It's a guy who has ADHD, and every video is him just kind of like walking in a field and kind of describing ADHD behavior and kind of saying like, yes, we do this, but it doesn't mean what you think it means. And so a lot of it is like, it doesn't mean that we don't care about you. This is just ADHD behavior. And one of the things in the last video that I saw was him saying he can like kind of detach from a person and almost sort of like completely cut them out of their lives and not miss a beat. And I realized, oh, that's kind of me. Like, I cannot talk to someone for a really long time and not feel like not even realize that it's been so long that I haven't talked to them. But then like when I do talk to them, I'm not like in this place of like, oh, now you're back. Like, it's more so just like, oh, hey, what's up? You know, it's just too easy for me to just not think about a person and not even realize that I haven't thought about that person. And it's not because like I don't care about that person or that person doesn't like mean anything. It's just that's just I think the mentality of someone with ADHD. You know, because like we're focused on like what's in front of us. And so if you're not in front of me in that moment, you don't exist. Which sounds crazy, but like that is kind of what it, at least for me, that's how it is for me. You know, and again, it's not that like I don't care about you anymore. It's just that's just how my brain is wired, you know? It's just like if I don't talk to you for a long time and then we finally do talk, that's when it hits me. Oh wait, I haven't seen this person in like a year. and then it hits me then in that moment. But like in all of that time that I'm not like talking to you, it doesn't even occur to me like, oh, I haven't even talked to that person in forever.
So does it feel like that with comedy then? If you go,
yeah, it yes, it 1000% happens like that with like there's times where like, which sucks because like you need to have that feeling, I think, to like stay on top of like booking yourself. Because it could be like 2.5 weeks. I'm like, holy shit, I've done comedy like twice. But then another ADHD trait is you then do like a superhero's like effort to like make up for it. So I'll go like 2.5 weeks of like doing comedy like maybe once. But then I'll have like 2 or 3 weeks of like, all right, I'm doing every show.
Did you ever get burnout with comedy?
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's because of that. It's because of that whole like, I'll go stretches of like not doing it really at all, and then I'll go stretches of like doing way too much, and then in that stretch of doing way too much, I'll get burned out, and then I'll swing back to like not doing it at all. And it really is a very toxic and unhealthy way of doing stand up. But that's what that's how it works for me.
What did you do pre stand up that would like fill your creative cup?
I did like acting before stand up. Like I used to like audition for like community theater shows, and I've gotten into a few. Like I did a few. I started doing it after they were no longer allowed to record the live performances. Because community theater groups, at least the bigger ones, they used to record all of the performances. So like when you were done rehearsing and you were like doing the show, they would pick one night, and that would be like the night that they would record. And because of copyright laws, they weren't allowed to do that anymore. And I started doing it right when that stuff started kicking in. So I think I have like one recording of one of the shows that I did, and it's not one of the shows that I like had like a big part in. I was just like a small like side player. It was a Streetcar Named Desire. There's like 2 scenes where Stanley's playing poker with his friends, and I'm like one of the friends.
Did you do any method acting with it?
No, I mean, when I started getting into it, I was like, oh, you have to be serious about it, and you have to like let it encompass your life. And then like the more I did it, I was like, oh no, you can like just show up and do it. Like you don't have to like become a carpenter if you're gonna be a carpenter. Like you can just read the script and understand what you need to do, and then just go do it.
Do you miss it?
Sometimes I do. I mean, I did have fun doing it, but it was like all the lead up to it that I didn't love, like the auditions and then the rehearsals and then all of that stuff. Towards the end, I started doing more like kind of film, like student films, and I had a few friends that were like starting to like film their own stuff, and so I like do a lot of that kind of stuff. And I preferred that to the stage just because like you don't really have to rehearse for film, because like in between shots you can just sit there with the script with like your scene partners and kind of just like talk it over, and then you just go do it. Where with like a play, it's like 2 or 3 months of like every day we got to come in here and do this over and over and over. And like the first month, like you're walking around with your script in your hand, and then at some point you got to get off script. And like those first few weeks that you're off script are always rough because like you don't really remember all of the lines. And like finally you get to a point where like you just you got it, but like it takes so long to get there. And so like yeah, I mean I do the one aspect of stage is like you have that immediate feedback like we do with stand up. But the difference between stand up and the stage is like stand up takes like no preparation. Like you can just go on stage and just start talking. Which most people do, which is why they're bad.
What do you think is better for mental health?
The stage, acting. I mean, acting's not great for mental health, but it's way better than stand up.
Did you ever have anyone with acting be like, I could probably do that too?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. I mean, before I started doing stand up, when I was still acting, like people at work, here come my dogs. People at work would they would always be like, "Oh, you should do stand up." And I'm like, "Stand? I've never done stand up. I'm not going to do stand up. Are you crazy?"
When did you realize it was a possibility to do stand up?
I stopped acting for a long time because I was in college and I just needed it to end. And so I just kind of cut everything off for a few years and just focused on like finishing school. And then when I finished school and came back, I was kind of just like, I don't know if I want to act anymore. I just didn't want to do the auditions anymore. But I wanted to do something creative, so I was like trying to like figure out like what else can I do. And I think I forget. I saw a stand-up doing an interview, and in the interview they were talking about how like there's so low of a level, like low of a barrier to starting stand-up, that's why like a lot of people try it. And so when I started, in my mind I was like, it's just a thing that I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go do some open mics every now and then and just like whatever. But like as I started doing it, I started to realize, I'm better than a lot of the people at these open mics. And like I just started getting booked on stuff, and it just like kind of snowballed, and it just sort of like happened. Like at some point it did shift, and then I became more like I gotta get like spots. But like in the very beginning, I wasn't like, I gotta get spots. In the very beginning, it was just like, I just want to hang out, just have some fun. But like, yeah, at some point it did shift because like I started to realize, oh, I'm good at it.
Do you think doing all that stage stuff prior helped a lot?
I mean, I think it helped with like me being comfortable on stage. I don't know how much it helped with like writing and all that stuff because you're literally just saying someone else's words.
Yeah, a couple friends of mine did not like. They went to see me on like my first like my students to showcase because I took a class because I was too nervous to.
Yeah, I mean that's how I started too. Yeah,
and they went to see that, and they went to see the I did a couple bringer contests, and I was like the horrible person that brought a lot of people because I was so brand new. And they thought that all of the shows were going to be like that, where people are just trying their best.
Yeah.
And then they decided to like come with me to some open mics.
They came to you, they came with you to New Way.
And they're like it was like
they saw the darkness.
Yeah.
they saw the hole, the hole that we go into.
It's so hard to like explain that part to friends and to brand new comics who are like, I'm gonna bring my friends and family to everything too. I mean,
yeah, no, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. only bring them to the good stuff. Don't bring them to the Tuesday night open mic, in the rough part of town. You just go to that one yourself. That open mic is not for you to go and feel good about yourself and get laughs. That open mic is for you to go and just say words. That's what that open mic is for.
Do you ever go to those open mics? I mean, the just say words ones anymore?
Yeah, I still go to some of them every now and then. Like if I have a brand new bit and I don't have any like booked shows or anything, I'll still go to them because like I am very confident and comfortable in my writing, but like my performance is where I still kind of get a little like my confidence isn't always there with like my performance, and it's just because like I'm very like self-conscious about remembering what I have to say because like the order of the words in stand-up are very important, and so I'm just always very like nervous about like doing things in the wrong order or like dropping a word that's like very important, and then when I'm in my head like that I forget that I'm performing because I'm like in my head like what do I need to say next, so like it's good to go to those bad open mics to do that because it doesn't matter, like everybody's gonna do bad. Like the only people who do well at those types of open mics are the people who can crowd work, and like I don't feel bad about that. If someone went up there and just crowd worked and crushed in front of me, I don't care because like they didn't actually do material.
Yeah.
So like yeah, I mean I still go to those just so I can practice saying the words that I need to say, because once I can say it correctly, once I can say it with like any level of like charisma, then it becomes funny because like I'm saying it confidently and I'm saying it like smoothly and I'm using all of the correct words in the correct spot, and but it takes me a long time of like just doing it wrong to get to that. Like I know the writing is good, I just have to like say it correctly.
Yeah, I still go to open mics, but I have to throttle the ones where it's just comics watching other comics, because like I'm working with my therapist on it, and she's like, you can say if it looks like when you go to too many of these that your mental health starts to decline, so we are going to need you to reel back. So I have to cherry pick how often I go to those ones.
Yeah. I just hate it because I think a lot of like newer comics go to those and think it's just like a hangout.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I did one I shouldn't say recently, like a couple months ago. And like I went up and like I didn't even get a full joke out. I just like got I got my first setup out, and someone, I don't even think they were a comic. I think they were just there watching. But like someone like yelled something out before I could even get to the punchline. And it was like a brand new thing. Again, it was one of those like just say things mics, and I was just trying to say it. And so he like yelled something out, and it like it was so obvious that I couldn't just keep going. I had to address it. But then like I was very annoyed because I wasn't there to talk to a person in the audience. I was there to say these words, even though they were going to be awful. The only way I can make them good is I have to say them. And then like I kind of went off on the guy. Like I kind of just started like it wasn't even funny. I was just being like a dick to this guy. Like I was just like being a very like I was just like I went off on him. And then I just couldn't do anything else after that, because then people were just kept chiming in. And at that point it was other comics, which that was actually more annoying than the one guy, because I don't even think he was a comic. I think he was just like a comedy fan, and his idea of what comedy was like kill Tony, you know? And the more annoying thing was just like the other comics chiming in, because it's like, well, you guys know why we come here, or maybe you don't, which is why you only do this open mic and you don't get booked on shows, because you view this as a hangout instead of a place that you need to come to like work on stuff. and like I said, I went up there not expecting to do well, because I was doing new stuff. And like I said, it takes me a long time of just saying it in a way that is not good before I can get to a place where I can say it in a way that it is good. And I was just very annoyed that night because I had that taken away.
Yeah. You spend the gas money, you spend the money on drinks.
Exactly.
To not have that.
Yeah.
And
because I wasn't there to get a TikTok video. I was there to actually work on something.
How long for you does that process take, from like inception to practicing like verbally saying it to having it be where you want it? Or does it vary per joke?
I think it varies. Sometimes the joke is a little bit more complex, and it takes me a little bit longer to get to it. Other times it's like, a very short, quick thing, and I get to it pretty quick. But yeah,
Do you have a favorite open mic around here that's comics watching other comics?
Yeah. There actually is an audience there, but it mostly is comics watching other comics. I should say there's people there. Some of them are watching, most of them are not. But like my favorite one, and I mean this sincerely, I don't mean this in like an ironic way, is Crunchies in Lansing. Like I do genuinely love Crunchies. It's a tough mic because half of the people are not listening, the other half are, but it is mostly just comics watching. But it's like, it is a fun one though. Like for some reason, whatever it is, the chaotic energy, it all just comes together, and it is actually a fun show. And you also feel like you've accomplished something.
They do have good tater tots.
They do. But yeah, that's probably my favorite, like comics watching other comics kind of show. But again, that one's kind of like borderline, because they do have an audience there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say they have like quite a bit more than a few other comic watching other comics, at least in the Metro Detroit area.
Yeah. And honestly, I haven't been to New Way in a really long time, so I don't even know what New Way is anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it still goes super late. I adore Paul. Paul is
I love
the
Paul.
biggest.
Paul's great. Paul's like one of the like nicest guys in our scene. Like he's great.
And if you somehow stumbled upon our podcast and you have no idea who Paul is, Paul Pipitone is this legend in our community. He runs New Way. He's been running it for the last I would say 8-ish years, maybe 7 years.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think it was like right before lockdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
That he kind of took it over.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, somewhere around there, like 5, 6 maybe years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so he runs New Way. He runs Detroit Burger Bar on Saturday nights.
I've never been to that one. I keep saying I'm going to go to that one, and I just never go to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's Saturday night. I'm at home, and I'm just like, if I'm not booked on something, I'm at home, and I'm just like, I'm way too comfortable right now. I don't want to leave the house.
I've done that one 3 times, and it's good. It is a good mic to like say things, practice saying things. I will probably do it tonight, but
I think I'm gonna go watch Nick Kelly's Uncalled For at the Independent Comedy Club. I don't know why I'm saying that like it's gonna actually get people to go, because this is gonna come out weeks after this show happened. That's funny. But we are at a little bit over an hour.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Do you have any plugs? These plugs actually might be relevant, because it won't be weeks after we record. It'll probably be like a week, at most 2 after we record this, that it'll probably come out.
I am doing Ernest Brewing in Toledo the first week in August.
Oh, nice.
And then I'm also doing Commonwealth Sanctuary that same week in Cincinnati.
Nice.
And doing Laughter on the Lakeside in Muskegon the weekend after that. And Immortal Comedy the week after that.
I did Ernest Brew Works at the beginning of mid-June, I think.
Ooh.
Mid to late June, and it was incredible.
Yay. See, Toledo.
Toledo. Hey, listen, Toledo,
Mm-hmm.
great comedy town. Mm-hmm. Terrible city planning. I wouldn't raise the people. I would just raise the property and start over. Like, keep the people, just get rid of the property.
We got you. We're gonna rebuild.
Yeah, we're gonna make it better for you. We're not gonna displace you. You're gonna stay where you are, but we're just gonna make it better for you.
How about you? Where are you gonna be at?
Right now, really the only thing I think I have is Motor City Comedy Festival in September. It's like September 19th, I think, through the 22nd. I think I literally am on the 19th and the 22nd. But I'm trying to set up some dates in between that. I think I want to try to go to New York in August.
Heck yeah.
So hopefully I can pick up some dates while I'm there. If not, I'll probably just be doing open mics in New York. I'm really just going to visit my friend, but I figure while I'm there, I should try to get some stage time. Mm-hmm. And I've met a couple New York comics now with all the festivals and stuff, so I think I should be able to get at least one. I know I'll get one thing. Our friend of the show, Gary Madera, one of the producers at the Beauty Bar, who has been asking me when I'm coming back to New York, so I think I should be able to get a spot on that, as long as they have spots, as long as they haven't like booked it the week that I want to come. But I think I should at least be able to get like at least one other like booked spot, and then maybe just do some open mics.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Just to be able to visit and then mingle with new folks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, that's all you got?
That's all I got for
That's all
August.
we got then for this episode. Thanks for tuning in. Again, if you came back, if this is your first time, please come back again. We'd love to have you.
The man